welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject whenever you want, but please do not forget to rewind. My name is Annmarie, and guys, I'm solo here today. Ethan is actually away at Steven's bachelor party. If you don't remember, Steven has done a couple of episodes with us, and so they're taking some time away. I hope they enjoy it. Have fun, you guys. Be safe. But I'm here today because I'm so excited I get to talk to you guys about How to Make a Killing, the new Glen Powell and Margaret Qualley movie. And you guys, it's Glen Powell mania right now, which I am not mad about. I know some people don't love this guy. There's been some heat around him surrounding Sydney Sweeney and that movie and just some other stuff, but I'm a Glen Powell fan. I'm okay with saying that. I love Twisters. I love all his other movies. Running Man, I really enjoyed. And you know what? I think we got another Glen Powell hit on our hands. So, How to Make a Killing is actually a movie about Glen Powell, who plays Beckett, and he is part of a royal family which has a big inheritance. And he thinks, hey, I'm going to kill off some of my aunts, uncles, and cousins to get closer to the inheritance. And I really liked this plot. I think it was creative. And honestly, it really, really does work for Glen Powell. He has this charm about him where in this film he kind of plays a character like he did in The Running Man, where he's a simple guy, but goes on this extraordinary journey. And I really did enjoy it. I think he's hilarious. This movie is kind of told from his perspective. At the beginning, it's revealed that he goes to jail and he's talking to a priest. So it's him telling the story of what happened. And as well, Margaret Qualley is in here, and I really liked her. I know I'm not a horror movie fan, like you guys all know, but I liked her in The Substance. If you haven't seen her in Netflix's Maid, she's absolutely incredible. And she plays an interesting character in here too. I would say she's not in it as much as I would have thought she would be in it from the trailers, but I really did enjoy her performance. I think they're both very strong and up and coming actors who I'm super pumped to see in a lot more things. In a weird way, they were kind of reminding me of James Bond and Bond Girl. I know probably no one wants that to happen. I totally get it. We want some younger person to play James Bond, but in a different lifetime, I think Glen Powell could have played James Bond, but that's for another day. How to Make a Killing actually has a pretty low Rotten Tomato score. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about because I was surprised how low this score was. Last time I checked, I believe it's sitting around 45%. And I don't know if I fully agree with it. I think this movie is funny. Again, it's nothing Oscar worthy, but I went in to go enjoy this film and I really did. I think it was creative in its direction and storytelling. I won't be spoiling the ending here. You kind of do see it coming from a mile away, though, I won't lie. But I thought it was fun movie to watch. And so I understand though if people were expecting something different or something more creatively unique, but it's a pretty short film. I think it's around an hour 40. And so I think it was the perfect length for it. And it was especially important because I really do think that this movie is carried by Glenn Powell. I don't know if you could have another actor take his place here. And I think that's becoming more of a theme for a lot more of his films that it is kind of like the Tom Cruise or Brad Pitts of this world that you think of this movie and you think Glenn Powell, absolutely right. Like who else would play him? And so again, this lower score, I don't know if I fully agree with, but it is something that did stand out to me because this movie did come out a week ago, I believe. And so I truly think that this is something that people are not review bombing. I don't think this is getting reviewed bomb, but I think people do expect something else from the marketing of it. But as we know over this year, marketing hasn't been the best for some movies. We get different perspectives, and trailer houses cut movies in a different way just to sell it. And I don't know. I kind of understand why the score's so low, but I really did enjoy this film. I did expect this film to take a certain direction and it from a la No Other Choice from last year. If you don't remember, I really did not expect much from No Other Choice. I wasn't really interested in it, and Ethan took me along, and it ended up being one of my favorite movies, definitely in my top 10 favorite movies of last year. And the stories are very similar in No Other Choice and How to Make a Killing. And I was kind of hoping the cinematography would be similar. No Other Choice had these great shots that Ethan and I talked about, like the beer taking shot where he just takes a beer and the camera's inside the beer mug. And I don't know why, but I thought we would get that from this film, and unfortunately, we don't. I think if we did, it would have made something more creative out of How to Make a Killing. I think it leans into Glen Powell and his charisma, but I think it would have been interesting if they kind of took a risk similar to No Other Choice and make the cinematography masterpieces like that because I feel like it really could have worked here, but unfortunately, they didn't do that. But that's okay. That's how the movie is. The last thing I wanted to discuss here today is something that's been happening a lot on TikTok and Instagram Reels. If you haven't seen, a lot of people are discussing how certain movies should be made into TV shows. One of the most prominent is Housemaid. A lot of people have come out and talked about how Housemaid should have been 2 seasons, as well as I believe Wuthering Heights has been in this conversation as well. I would also like to make a point of how to Make a Killing should be in this conversation as well because this film kind of gave off one book vibes. I don't know if it's based off a book. Please let me know in the comments down below. But also TV show vibes. I definitely could have seen this taken another direction of where you make this show into a TV show or just a short TV show, like one season, and each episode dives into deeper because Glenn Powell Beckett has to go kill off 7 people. And I kind of wish they dug into it a little bit more because some of these characters could have been really interesting. A la Crazy Rich Asians with the cousins. I felt like that could have been here too. And so I would be interested to see if anyone is similar thinking that How to Make a Killing could have been a TV show or just limited series as well because it is interesting the idea around it. Again, though, if you had that happen, would you have Glenn Powell? Not sure if he would want to do a TV show, but also would it still have that same charm? But I think it does. I think, similarly to Housemaid and Wuthering Heights, this is something where you should expand it more. And I think, Netflix or HBO Max definitely could have picked it up and made this something unique and different. And, it didn't happen. We got what we got, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that I wanted to throw my hat into the ring and say, hey, you guys, How to Make a Killing definitely could have been a good TV show as well. But that leads me into my ranking. And let me be honest, Ethan is way better coming up with rankings because my god, he does it way better than I do. But I'm going to say out of 10 paper cutters, what did I like this movie out of? You'll understand if you see the movie. But I'm gonna give it a higher score than the credits here. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really did like this movie. And again, huge Glenn Powell fan, huge Margaret Qualley fan. They really do rely on their charisma in this film, but I did enjoy this. This was a fun movie to go see. I thought it had the charm and kind of the heart towards the end. I was kind of heartbroken for a character in here. It really does suck. But I think this film was a ton of fun and I get it. Not everyone went into this film expecting a masterpiece, audience, but a masterpiece. But I think it was so much fun. Again, it has its improvements. I think the cinematography could have been much better here. I think the story definitely could have been longer, more interesting, dive into depth more. But I'm a Glen Powell fan at the end of the day. I love his films, and it's another one that I'm gonna put in my Glen Powell fan page. I don't have one, I swear. I just like the guy a lot. But what did you guys think of How to Make a Killing? Have you seen it? What did you think? Did you like it? Are you a Glen Powell fan? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate everything, all the likes and comments, and everything that you guys share with us on Cassette Take. And we're just having so much fun with this. So, that will be all from me today. Do not forget to rewind and make sure to make a killing.